All right, pay attention to this.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Oh yeah, I can feel it. But why do I feel it? What went into creating all this intensity?
Well, when they said they wanted this feeling of cars going past, I'd built this thing like 2 months ago. So literally it's just a piece of acetate that I've had laser cut, and then I've got like a 12-volt motor on it, and it attaches to the panhandle, and you have a little speed control, and it's quite fun. There was sort of a bit of holding the back of the camera and a bit of like vibration. I had some filters that were like safety glass that I'd like smashed. It's basically a PD150. So we had that on a little tripod plugged in to this monitor, and then we filmed the monitor. We've got 5 sky panels. It allowed us to get this really nice left to right transition. Actually shooting the Apple Vision Pro, it's like a glass fishbowl. You know, you kind of can just see absolutely everything reflected. So actually we used a bit of Translight material because then it could be a lot bigger, and I knew it would be like completely clean. And to be honest, they just had a guy build it all in CG. That it sells that idea.
My biggest question is like, is anything real?
There's a couple of shots that are real in there, so it's a bit of a mix. Some of these like scans are like archive footage that's been animated. This shot is actually from inside the VR experience. You know, those sort of little moments just help to kind of build out this world into what was effectively a person inside a box. You know?
In this episode, we break down all the little things that Morgan Spencer did to make this commercial feel captivating. All right, Morgan Spencer, welcome to the show. Happy to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Well, dude, I want to break down this amazing piece that you guys did. A big question I have is, help me understand like exactly who this piece was for. I'm seeing Apple VR goggles, a really cool leather jacket, a Formula One vehicle by Aston Martin. What is this really?
Why settle for a reality that you don't have to? When you cut out the noise and fully focus, at the speed, the precision, the pressure, and reality bends around you into a single moment, into a state of mind. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Body, moving through space and time, not chasing, not fleeing, but rising above the limits. Step into a new reality. Step inside the mind of a boss.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the reasons why the creative brief was so kind of flexible, is there's quite a few elements going on. Basically, Boss had designed an experience within Apple Vision Pro to do with the Formula One car that they sponsor. So they were kind of wanted to showcase this experience that they'd done, this VR experience, and at the same time kind of showcase some clothes and I guess like kind of build some world around the brand and their partnership with Apple. So there was a kind of few elements going on, and I think originally it wasn't such a big thing, but then I think once they saw the creative from the directors, they were kind of keen to push it a little bit more and throw a bit more budget into it. So yeah.
Interesting. So the brief, what they got from the directors influenced what the final project was going to be?
I think it can sometimes work like that, or more it works like, I think if they see that there's something bigger than maybe what they expected, they're willing to go with it a little bit. And I think that the two directors had had a pre-existing relationship with Boss as well, so there was already sort of some trust there.
Yeah, cool. Well, we'll get into it. There's a lot of technicals to talk about. As the DP, I'm really stoked to be able to talk with you and figure out how some of these amazing shots were created. Let's start with the first one.
Why settle?
We have the talented Jamie Bauer sitting here. He's thinking deep, and the camera moves just barely. Slight shift in focus. How did you guys physically pull this shot off?
So there was this idea of kind of a imminent thing that's about to happen and kind of a bit of anticipation. So I think we grabbed all of these shots just like a second before. I think there's a little bit of camera shake on that. Is that right? A little bit of
Yeah, just a
something.
little.
Yeah, I think there was sort of a bit of holding the back of the camera and a bit of like vibration kind of thing. I think it's as simple as that. We had a little dolly that we'd like rolled in. I think we grabbed all of these shots like, that was like the second thing that we did. So it was just kind of getting all these like mood moments, little portraits. I think we spent, I mean, it was quite a tight thing. We had like 2.5 hours with talent maybe. So, or maybe it's like 3 hours, but yeah, not
Wow.
a long time. So there's a lot to get in a short amount of time. So I think we had like 25 minutes of just getting these like moments, portraits, some with a bit of like anticipation, bit of shake, some with just, slick and clean.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? Let's zoom out here. You've got 3 hours with this talent. How do you guys set yourself up for success? I mean, it's all in one location that it looks like, and that's helpful. But just what was your guys' approach to making the most of your short time with Jamie Bauer here?
Yeah, so I think the considerations really was getting this first thing set up, the circular track, and then there was a kind of built set that was going to have furniture on, and it was very like Dieter Rams inspired. It was sort of how you fit both of those sets into one day, and we ended up starting with the circular track and then pulling it all out to put the set in. We just figured that was the fastest way to do it.
Okay.
So I think it was just a lot of kind of like taking the bits of the puzzle and putting them together. So, okay, when we have the circular track getting pulled out, they can build the straight track, and during that time we can grab some portraits on the head and legs, and then after that we can, do you know what I mean? So there's like a few different considerations, and there was some like little other BTS-y bits that that needed to happen with Jamie, and like a little interview he needed to do. So we knew we had some like downtime. So it's just figuring out how to like slot it all in. But it was super ambitious. I mean, luckily it's kind of quite a mood orientated shoot. So if you do have to drop 1 or 2 shots, it's not the end of the world. But I think in the morning when we walked in, we had like all the shots pinned up on a polyboard, and it was like, oh yeah, there you go, that was it. I think it was like 36 shots or something. I was like,
Yeah, you guys. It looks like you guys were just scratching them off as you went.
we did them all. Yeah, we got them all. Yeah,
Wow.
which is
That's amazing.
a bit unexpected, but I was kind of like preparing them of like, oh, well, I think this one we might have to lose, that one we might have to lose. But actually, Jamie was really good and just needed like one take of everything, and like the team were also like super speedy. So yeah, we got it done.
Yeah. Gosh, man, I've been on set where, time is of the essence because of the talent that you're with, and you just want to minimize downtime. I think
Yeah.
you go in there and it's just like, if he's standing around for a second and not being utilized, that's a problem. I mean, was that how you guys were feeling?
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's always a few things that you can do to kind of help resolve those issues. And I think like one of them, Rob, the gaffer I work with quite a lot, is always amazing on blackout with a DMX. So we can kind of get to a place. So we had a pre-light day, set build and pre-light, and then shoot the day afterwards, right? So like, I think we only came in with the lighting at like midday because they needed to get the set built. But ultimately, we were able to do it in such a way that we had everything pre-programmed. So we could just, every lighting change, every different setup, we knew what it was. We had it programmed in, and it's just a button press every time. It wasn't like, okay, pull these lights out, take these lights in, bring this out. I mean, there's a little bit of like neg and fill and the normal things that happen, but ultimately,
Sure.
like that allows you to just work a lot faster than you would be able to otherwise.
Yeah. Let's get into your lighting setup here. I mean, it honestly looks pretty straightforward, but
Yeah.
what were your ideas? What was like, hey, we have this set, why did you light it the way that you did?
So the original thought was, it's just in this room. And I think I'd sort of mentioned about having a little bit of a recess cove, which always helps for the low angles. It was never going to be that big. And then Leo, the set designer and the directors, talked about having like a little lip on that as well to make it feel like if you do see the edge, you get a bit more. And initially I was just going to have a grid over the top and light through that, but then you kind of can't see it. So when we got the final dimensions in, and I do tend to I have started using Blender a little bit just to kind of very basically work out for shoots like this, work out the scale. You can put the lens in, you can have a quick look around at what you see. And
Cool.
I quickly realized that And I kind of knew anyway that like what was going to look good is the wider lenses, and you were going to see this roof piece, and I didn't know how much budget there was going to be for CG, because when you use a normal like film silk, there's always like seams and you can see stuff. And so in the end, what I ended up doing is getting production to purchase a bit of Translight material, because you can get it in 5-meter widths and sort of as long as you want.
This is not a 12 by 12 silk. This is something
No,
else.
because even in a 12 by 12 silk, you tend to have I think it was a bit bigger I think the hole was a bit bigger than 12 by 12. And like a lot of the time you tend to have a seam or something in it. So actually we used a bit of Translight material, because then it could be a lot bigger and I knew it would be like completely clean. And that way we could kind of shoot it. I mean, the one downside is like the Translight does eat a lot of light, but I know I could bring the lights quite close, and we, you know, we had the exposure. So yeah, it was fine.
What are these up here?
So we've got 5 sky panels. I think we looked at a few different things. Initially, I was kind of thinking 3 over the top and then 2 like behind. And in the programming, we could like move them around a little bit. But in the end, actually having 5 like that with 2 kind of coming inside, it allowed us to get this really nice left to right transition across the frame. So yeah, that's what we ended up going with really. Because there was this feeling of like the car, you know, they wanted this feeling of the cars going past. So it was kind of whatever gave us that. And I think that also when we came down to do our like portraits, rather than just have a flat top light, I was able to like just turn on one of the side ones and turn off the top one and just create that contrast in the camera like very quickly.
I like this this video feedback loop setup.
Yeah.
How did you guys, what camera did you have pointed at him? What was the setup for this?
I've got I can't even remember what it's called. It's basically a PD-150.
Okay.
So we had that on a little tripod plugged in to this monitor, and then we filmed the monitor. So you have that sort of like analog, digi-analog feeling, rather than put the kind of clean camera feed through. And I like the idea of, well, we talked about, it's nice the idea of having 2 angles. So the angle that we're seeing on the TV is not the angle that we're shooting from. So we did need a sort of, had a little additional camera for that. I don't think we even recorded on that camera. We just used it as a like feedback loop type situation.
That's cool. That's cool.
So there we can see it's like, it's to the side and then we're profile. It's quite a nice perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome.
When you cut out the noise and fully focus, at the speed, the precision.
I mean, it makes sense that you guys kind of chose this one stage to shoot most of your principal stuff. But I want to talk about the things that aren't that, the everything else, right? The things that don't necessarily involve Jimmy Bauer. What was did you guys have like a whole second shoot day for these kind of things?
Well, so let's go through them. I mean, this shot,
let's do this one.
we got the Formula One car. We went down to Lanzarote. No, to be honest, they just had a guy build it all in CG. There's a couple of shots that are real in there. So it's a bit of a mix.
My biggest question is like, is anything real?
Yeah. So I think they had a model of the car already through this experience that they built inside Apple Vision. So there's a couple of elements that I think this is something that a CG artist that the directors work with sort of built. Some of these like scans are like archive footage that's been animated. This shot is actually from inside I think the next one of like the statues, that's from inside the VR experience. So the VR experience is like you put on the headset and you go through a sort of Hall of Fame and you can look at the car, and then there's a kind of driving part of it where you can experience sort of being in the car as it's driving full speed with a headset on. So part of the commercial was trying to portray like what this feeling is of like experiencing this thing on Apple Vision Pro. And I'd never worn an Apple Vision Pro before, but they had it on the shoot day. So I had a look, and it was, it was quite wild actually. Yeah, I was impressed.
I've never tried it. I've never tried it either, but watching this, if I feel half of what I feel wearing that headset that I do watching this piece, then I think I'd try it out.
Yeah, it's quite a wild bit of kit. This we actually shot, that the grains that we did. There was a few high-speed shots they wanted to do, so we had a Phantom camera as well as I think we're shooting on a Mini LF. So this is just like, we had some vermiculite and some black sand as well. And then I think it was like in a dish, and we had like a massage gun, and we were just like hammering it with the massage gun to make these like ripples. And then we just shot it at like 800, 1,000 frames, something like that.
Cool.
We did a few elements, and not all of them made it in. So we did a load of stuff with water as well, and like there was a few different kind of slow motion elements that we shot first thing in the day before Jamie arrived.
That's cool.
So these shots as well, again, are like, this is built in CG, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the speaker's not.
Okay, speaker's not. Yeah. That was just part of your set?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the whole set was sort of wanted to be very Dieter Rams inspired, and I think those are original Dieter Rams speakers.
Okay, what about this? This is an insane shot.
This is also from the Apple Pro experience. Yeah, so this is again like a pre-existing asset from the VR experience that was built in CG, yeah.
This stuff too?
So all this car stuff is like built in CG as well.
Oh, it goes so fast. Let's talk about these slow motion takes. You said you had a Phantom camera. Did you guys just have that built on standby? Was it the last thing you got? What was your approach?
I think, so we shot with it in the morning first thing to get these elements. And then, yeah, it was sort of like towards the end of the day, we did this element, all these shots basically, which was like throwing all the toys at it. So I think there's a few things going on here. There's the Phantom, we had wind. I had some filters that were like safety glass that I'd like smashed. And then when you kind of shoot through them with a bit of, a little bit of torch action, you get all these sort of like little highlights and specular things coming around. I think that shot there is a bit of lens bashing. I've got like a medium format lens that I've sort of like tweaked a little bit to make the edges quite weird. Again, I think
it's
that's
quite
like
weird.
Lens bashed. It's quite weird. Yeah. But I think all these things work as like little textural elements, and we wanted this idea of like this huge thing is coming and about to happen. And I think, it sells that idea.
This fan situation you have.
The spinning rig.
It's really cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of something I developed for another commercial, for an Adidas commercial that was like, it was a football thing. So I started looking at like early ideas of capturing motion, especially like all of the like Edward Muybridge stuff of like there's this whole thing about trying to shoot a horse. I'm sure everyone's seen those images of like the 3 stills of the horse moving. And then also looking at like very early animation zoetropes, where you look through the little slit and you spin the thing. So then I kind of was thinking, well, maybe there's probably a way of having like a zoetrope that we put in front of the lens of the camera. When they said they wanted this feeling of cars going past, I'd built this thing like 2 months ago. And I was like, I think that if I used one of the other wheels, it would be pretty effective to feel like all these cars are shooting past the frame, Cool. So literally it's just a piece of acetate that I've had laser cut, and then I've got like a 12-volt motor on it, and it attaches to the pan handle, and you have a little speed control and forward and backward direction, so you can kind of like ramp it and slow it down. It's quite fun.
So you had this thing built for another shoot and just kind of like whip it out whenever you feel like you need it.
I think I had I think actually this is the first time I did the one that I did for the Agisuit was a lot more jerry-rigged. So I think that I kind of cut it out of cardboard, and like it was all a bit like shanky. But then like in the intervening months when I had a bit of time off, I'd sort of finessed it with the idea that, there's always new ideas for these things, right?
Right.
So I got the bits laser cut and sort of like got some bracketry so that the motor could go on the pan handle, and like a few little bits that made it sort of a bit more user-friendly. And it's so big, it could actually be a lot smaller, but I made it so big because originally the first shot we did was on the 12:1 zoom. So I wanted to be able to cover like that size of lens.
Yeah, while we're speaking about lenses, speaking about gear, what did you decide to shoot on?
Yeah, so I sort of tend to go in 2 different directions. If it's a kind of more organic look, I tend to go more towards like a K35. I like the Olympus OMs as well. Those kind of mushier vintage lenses where there's something interesting happening on the outside of the lens. Or for something like this, super clean, very modern, I always tend to shoot the signature primes. I mean, they're beautiful, beautiful lenses. So I think with all of the like lines and the way the lighting was going to be quite clean, it sort of seemed the right direction to go to get this like sharp, crisp image that felt sort of a bit more in line with what the directors had shown me. And then I think
Yeah.
camera-wise, I actually normally shoot with the Venice for a couple reasons. The color space I tend to prefer. A few different things, but actually, I think the two directors had never worked with the Venice before, so they got a little bit like nervous. And I always used to shoot with the Arri before then, so I was like, that's fine. Like LF is perfect for me, and knew I didn't need the extended bass or anything like that. So, but I did want the feeling of full frame, just to get that sort of like. I think there's a difference with full frame and Super 35 where you can get these kind of very wide shots that have very low distortion, and especially with the signature primes, and I thought that would really work to kind of sell this quite small space as actually quite a kind of epic, grander environment.
Yeah, it didn't feel small at all to me.
Yeah, I think the smallest circular track fit in by about 1 inch either side.
Was there enough room for the dolly grip to run all the way around it?
Yeah, just about.
Cut out the noise and fully focus. At the speed, the precision, the pressure. And reality bends around you into a single moment.
This is probably,
Yes.
to me, this is the most iconic shot of the piece.
Yeah, I think obviously actually shooting the Apple Vision Pro is not easy because it's like a glass fishbowl. You kind of can just see absolutely everything reflected. So it was always a bit tricky how to shoot it. And I think one thing that helped is that we had this set with 3 sides. So and because we built this this Translight that was seamless, if he was looking away from the opening in the set towards the back of the set, and we had the camera in there, we could shoot. And everything that we saw, we were kind of allowed to see, just hide the camera like down and in the dark and with a bit of Bolton or whatever. But that particular shot, so when he's moving around, he's on this sort of podium, glass podium. And we wanted that to be illuminated. So me and the set designer had worked together before actually with the sort of corrugated, fluted plastic. So the top is clear. And then around the edge, we put corrugated plastic. And actually underneath, I just built 2 squares of Astera tubes, one set of Titans, so like a big square, and then in the middle of it, Helios square. So there's these kind of 2 squares. I'm very keen on like not seeing Asteras in shot, because I think that when they first came out, you could sort of get away with it. But now everyone's like, oh, it's that light.
Yeah,
but the
it's a stick of light, yeah.
Yeah. But the corrugated plastic, I think, kind of helps disguise what that thing is. And so that's what
just the
you're seeing.
Reflection. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
you're
just the
seeing
reflection of that.
And then there's a kind of another bit of perspex on top, and there's some like metal gridding from the podium. So it kind of broke it up in a more interesting way. And I think for that shot, we also were spilling a little bit of light into the floor to just get that middle pop.
Dude, you said you had 2 directors to work with. What's it like working for 2 different directors on a shoot this quick?
Well, I think that luckily they worked together quite a lot. So they had a kind of shorthand, and I think especially like one of the directors works as a DP themselves.
Nice.
On like smaller stuff, and I think they work together as like a DP director duo. So I think working with directors on like a more technical spot like this, working with directors that have a real understanding of like camera is helpful, because then sort of like these ideas that can seem quite esoteric, like, I'm going to put this like a set of Asteras here, and then I'm going to like move them like this. It's hard for a lot of people to imagine what that's actually going to look like, but it was helpful to kind of have that like more DP shorthand that we could kind of rack through maybe what all the ideas were ahead of time. So there didn't need to be that much experimentation on the day, because we were like, oh, we've got this look, we're going to do it this way. We've got this look, we're going to do it this way. Yeah.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Jamie Bauer has a really great voice, has a really good way of talking, right? I think that's part of why he maybe was chosen for this, if I had to guess. But when it comes to him actually delivering those lines, Did you guys do that offset and post ADR, or did you do it on the day?
I think we did it. I think we did both. I think we did a recording where he was just kind of walking around saying the lines. And then we did a couple of sit-down bits afterwards, which we did shoot. But I don't know if any of them actually made it into the edit. And I don't think they went back and got any ADR afterwards. I think that was our moment. But, he's so good. It's like every take was great.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Okay, so when he was actually sitting down doing the VO, you guys had recorded that bit too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I love talking about the highs and lows, right? What were the wins? What were the losses? What were the things that you struggled the most on? And what were the things that you walked away going, okay, thank God that happened, right? What were those?
What were the wins? What were the struggles?
Right.
The struggle, I guess, is always kind of, it happened like, it was quite a quick turnaround. I think I got booked like a week and a half or 2 weeks before the shoot or something. And then like the set designer was kind of in an equal position. So like getting everything signed off with, and the directors were definitely being very ambitious with what they wanted this spot to look like.
Yeah.
So there's always a sort of challenge of like, well, the set needs to be bigger. Well, we can't afford for the set to be bigger. Oh, it needs to have like a bigger roof piece. We can't afford to have a bigger roof piece. And I think that was the challenge, is like in quite a short amount of time, kind of getting all the pieces in place. And I think the wins were being allowed to experiment a lot and throw a lot of kind of different visual ideas at it. And I think that's what's built kind of a 2.5 hour shoot into what feels like a much bigger spot than it sort of was budget wise. And those little elements of like, okay, we can use this little bit of CG and we can get a image of the car and just like comp it against a moon, and those sort of little moments, as well as like being able to throw in these a little tricky lens or a little like spinning rig that I designed or something like that, just helped to kind of build out this world into what was effectively a person inside a box,
I imagine it's like you're so much more relaxed when you know that you have things to cover your bases. Like you can get your principal shots, the things that really matter, but knowing that in the end you're going to have something to fill it and bring it, across the finish line in that way, I'm sure probably feels pretty good.
Yeah. And actually the biggest challenge was shooting the headset, because as I said before, it's like a fishbowl, you kind of see everything. So like it's this 360 glass, like wraparound piece of reflective glass. So I think that was like the biggest challenge. But I think once we kind of solved how that would work and put a few things in place lighting wise that allowed us to sort of work around it, then we were golden. Yeah.
I imagine it was like being on a set with a mirror that you needed to shoot.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dude, let's talk about you. What's up? What are you stoked about? How's your career? Just talk to us. I want to get inside the head of Morgan right now.
Yeah, so I started off actually kind of as an assistant, as an AC. So I was like, and I was working on feature films. So I kind of had a really good film school, which was sort of getting to work on all of these features. I got really lucky, and I was a trainee on Prometheus, which is like a Ridley Scott film, and then as an assistant went on to do like Spectre, James Bond film, which Hoyt shot, and then did like Star Wars that Dan Mendel did, and like got to work with these like absolutely incredible technicians and incredible DPs and incredible directors on these like big sets. So that was sort of like very lucky break into the industry, and like definitely.
What were you doing exactly?
That world.
Yeah. I'm
I was
curious.
a second AC for a long time. I never focus pulled that much. It's sort of a little bit towards the end, but I was really trying to kind of make a jump to shooting at that point, which was a little bit tricky because all my contacts were like in this kind of rarefied big feature world. So no one's going to turn around and be like, oh yeah, do you want to shoot some second unit for us? Do you know what I mean? It's just like never going to happen. So you sort of have to find your own way and build a kind of completely separate network. so that was a challenge. But yeah, on those films, I was sort of like camera best boy or second ACing, and a lot of like 35mm jobs as well. So sort of, I think that's what I got known for. So like most of the jobs that I did tended to be like 35.
Once you get into the having the abilities of film, you know, I imagine you find yourself into a groove there with crew and people. And
so that's sort of my background. And then like when I started shooting, I think kind of fell into this more, like a lot of my bread and butter is like in fashion now, which I super enjoy. But I would love to get back into narrative. So, you know, doing those short films and, you know, working with those directors to try and like, and then hopefully something comes along that feels like it's the right one to do.
What's cool about fashion? What do you love about the fashion genre?
I think so kind of fashion's a good place to be because there's always been strong connections between fashion and imagery. You know, photography has been a hugely like a part of fashion since the beginning, and so I think like the brands and the creatives all have an appreciation of like visual language and sort of want things to look good, and they're less fussed about like, you know, if you work with like Kit Kat, they might want the label to make sure it looks really red and make sure that, you know, these other concerns. Whereas I think, you know, a lot of fashion filmmaking, as long as it looks really cool, they're really happy. And that's like a great place to be as a DP, because you can experiment a bit more and you can push things a little bit more and you can kind of try some things out without anyone kind of like freaking out too much.
Yeah. Sounds like an amazing amount of freedom. If you have any advice for anyone who wants to get into the fashion genre of film at that level, at your level, what would you say?
Oh, I'd say shoot as much weird stuff as possible, and that will get you in. See what I mean? I think like I think I kind of got a break because I was shooting like quite a lot of like dance film and a bit of like artist film for gallery as well. There's like a few artists I work with. And I think that work kind of naturally like fed more into kind of fashion world than, you know, a kind of spec cornflakes commercial would. So it's a bit of aesthetically is a kind of different thing going on.
Yeah. So make friends with artists and shoot weird stuff.
Yeah, that's good advice generally, I think, for life.
I love it. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Morgan, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me, man.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan. Appreciate it.
Ever wonder how top directors make treatments like these? There's a few ways, but an important one is showing the right reference images. And I don't mean what you can search for on a web browser or screen capture on your phone. Finding those absolutely perfect reference images, in my opinion, is made easiest with FrameSet. Skip the painful, messy, time-consuming search process. They've got tools for that. It will cost you nothing to get started, so try it out.